know that that organization is going to have a less of its overhead going to staff and bureaucracy and more to the actual cause that matters. They know that that organization is going to be more effective. They just know that their money is going to go further. Okay, this is true of every single issue. And when we just had this recent flood in New Orleans, everyone got to see on TV firsthand how big government works. I was tickled because you would hear reporters come on and they would say there's anarchy in the streets. There wasn't anarchy. There was government all over the place. And it was stopping the help from getting to the people. And that's how government works. Big government is force. Big government seeks to break your legs, hand you a pair of crutches and says, see, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be able to walk. And that's what we believe the nature of it is. We believe in people. We believe in churches, charities, businesses, entrepreneurs, innovators, and inventors. Those are the people that we see as being the core of society that make human progress possible.
But, of course, to answer the question you're going to get there is, what if that's not enough? What if, didn't people start? Didn't the government start doing this because these organizations weren't giving enough to people? Charitable organizations, private charitable organizations weren't taking care of the poor and the government had to step in?
I don't believe that because, we know that the more the federal government, for example, and our organization deals with the federal government, has gotten involved in education, the more test scores have gone down. And they've had to change the definition of the test scores to maintain the test scores. We know that the government's gotten involved in fighting poverty, and poverty hasn't gone away. And yet we've spent all this money. We know the government's got involved in health care, but doctors don't make house calls anymore. This is the nature of government. Okay, and we understand what we're trying to get across to people is that big government is opposed to human progress and innovation. The existence of every business that that you're aware of, and every charity that you're aware of, is there to meet a need, to solve a problem, to fill something that's missing in the marketplace. People have wonderful capacities to innovate, but when the government comes in and competes with them, it diminishes or destroys the potential that could be, the reward that would be reached by taking the risk, by making the invention, by patenting it, by manufacturing it. All of that stuff involves a certain level of risk, and being able to track the capital and so forth to get it won't happen if the government's there competing with that industry. We don't want government competing in welfare, in medicine, in education. And all of these things need to be left in the hands of capable people. The other thing the last thing I would say about this, Mark, is that we're looking at it as kind of a zero-sum game, because government got its money from someplace. It got it from us. And if government wasn't taking it from us, we would be so much further ahead. In fact, I would ask people, what would you do if you could keep all the money that you earn? If you could save it, you could invest it, you could give it away as you see fit. What would you do with the money? The average taxpayer is losing $10,000 a year to the federal government. Would you have a better retirement? Would you take a different vacation? Was there a cause that you believe in that you would like to help? And do you believe you know better how to spend your money than a politician or a bureaucrat in far-off Washington, D.C.? Now, if you don't, guess what? Downsize DC is not for you. But most people hearing this message right now would say, yes, I do know better how to spend that money, and I want the right to be able to do that.
Which is very different to how the government operates. It forces you to
Yes.
spend the money. And the thing to illustrate more about what you were saying about that $1 million, if the government's starting a new charity, the first thing it does is build a new office building to house all the administrators. That office building isn't going to be built by the person who's going to build it the cheapest. It's going to be built by someone who's connected, a construction company that's connected to the politicians, gave to their campaigns, and will probably cost a lot more than it should. Then it's the same for everything that goes into the building, the office furniture, the computers, and everything else. Then they hire people, they pay them a huge amount of money, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year.
Plus
administrators,
pension.
plus pension, plus medical, plus retirement, of course. And that's one of the reasons why I walk down the street where I live in Hollywood, California, and there are homeless people who are in wheelchairs sleeping on the street. Why isn't the money getting to those people? You have people who are working for the welfare department who are getting $60,000 a year or more in compensation on taxpayers, but yet I have people. This is an extreme example. That's an extreme example. That's the tip of the iceberg. That's the worst example that I can find. Is people sleeping who are homeless, sleeping in wheelchairs on the street. So that is a huge problem. The money isn't getting through that bureaucracy to the people on the street, and that's one of the reasons that I left the Democratic Party. Because as a libertarian, I'm not disagreeing with the goal of government. I'm not disagreeing with the stated goal. My objection is to whether or not that system is working to help the people and whether or not it's succeeding. If I drive through Watts after billions and billions of dollars of aid to try to end poverty, it's still a slump. And that's I would, another way I think to help answer the question when I'm playing the devil's advocate there for you. But that's one of the most difficult tasks that we have, is that people are very, very sold on government, very sold on these ideas that this is a good thing, and this is how you should deal with it, and this is what is effective.
I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit. I'm not sure that they're sold. I think that they don't feel that a good enough alternative has been put in front of them, and they're a little nervous. See, I mean, this is what we've had. This is what they've grown up with. This is what they understand. And what you're proposing to them is different. It will require additional risks and new things that, you know, haven't been fully thought through. There is at least some kind of safety net there. In the current system, and so they like the existence of that safety net. All we're suggesting is that wherever these ideas are tried, they flourish. That people just are capable of doing incredible things. We believe in people. That's what Downsize DC is about. It's about taxpayers. It's about mothers and fathers trying to figure out the family budget. It's about the business owner who's trying to figure out how to grow his business and employ more people and increase the prosperity of his community. It's about the civic organizations that are looking out for the people in the community. We want to free and empower those people. They represent human progress. When government regulates, when it taxes, when it consumes, when it shuts down, when it competes with these enterprises, it hurts them.
It does, and there's a way to explain that I found very effective, and I try to explain it like this. Imagine you're running a hot dog stand,
okay,
and the government came along and said, you're selling your hot dogs for too much, and the poor cannot afford your hot dogs, and they're missing out on a great piece of Americana. So we have to give away hot dogs. So the government comes and opens up a hot dog stand next to your hot dog stand and starts giving away hot dogs. Okay, what happens to your hot dog stand?
It usually would close.
It shuts down, and the other hot dog stands in the area are going to have to probably shut. Some of them are going to shut down too, cut costs, raise their prices, lay off some of their employees. Then the politicians are going to come along and say, look at the skyrocketing costs of hot dogs. Look at all the hot dog stands closing down. We have to give away more hot dogs.
Or maybe
that's
put a price
how it
ceiling
works
on the hot dogs.
Huh?
Or put a price ceiling on the hot
Put
dogs.
a price ceiling on the hot dogs.
That's what they suggested doing with gasoline.
Or as in medicine, and that's what's happening with medicine in the United States. That's what's happening. And we're trying to be compassionate, but we end up, in a lot of ways, being our own worst enemies. So the system, and then also you find out that the person that got the contract to sell all the hot dogs and the hot dog machines and all the equipment to the politicians were people that gave money to the campaigns of the politicians.
Right, and the
taxpayers selling at a very high fixed price.
The taxpayers are paying us to give away the hot dogs too.
Right.
Someone's still paying for those hot dogs.
We have to convince people. The Republicans and Democrats are the best salesmen for big government that we can find, that are out there. I mean, they're very, very good. So you have a very difficult challenge. Are we over time? Okay, thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you.
And
DownsizeDC.org.
DownsizeDC.org, and you can find more information about the libertarianism on the web by typing in libertarianism in any search engine, or go to lp.org, and we'll send you out a free packet of information. Thanks for watching. So I don't know that I will.
Don't give up, learn to live, show the world you're painted in, the colors there are.